I'm not a case manager or anything like that. I'm a person who suffers from depression. And I've been through all this CBT and all these treatment plans. And I was going to say by far that part is the hardest for us to deal with when we're going through that. And we're confronted with what do we like to do? What would make something better? Because in that frame, all you're thinking about is the negative thing, that it's so hard, it's so emotionally hard to try to think of something positive or try to see yourself doing something positive. So I think that's the biggest role, like right now, is helping her trying to come up with that plan, because she can't come up with it, or else, and it's so hard to get yourself out of that thinking to do something like that.
Right.
Exactly.
And it's very frustrating.
Yeah. And then if we come up with something, she always finds an excuse of not doing that.
Well, no, it's not for you to come up with it. It's trying to help her process what is the enjoyable thing that she can do that is small and measurable. That's the key. See, because I can say I want to go back swimming like I used to swim, 5 days a week, every day, but I can't do it because It's not obtainable. That's why what makes this a good option. What's this not a good? What are the barriers to me being successful in this? So if I can get him to commit to one sweep, that's a good option. That makes it a good option. And why is it not a good option? So can I think of what might not be? So what would be the option that he may say no?
Yeah.
That might be the other challenge. He may say no. So then I have to have another option. Maybe my girlfriend of 20 years.
Yeah.
May be that other option for that hour a week that I can get to what. So you have to begin, like the young lady said in the back, you have to begin to help them because they're in a critical point of being so overwhelmed that when you speak of a goal or you speak of, completing just an application of something, it's so overwhelming that they can't process it. They can't think of it. So you can come up with a whole lot of ideas and this could be filled out in 2 minutes. But like I said, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it because you made the plan. Right. So the goal of this is to help them to identify, really go through it one at a time. What would be the reason that would be good? Because I was having difficulty finding a reason or finding a goal. But I mentioned a few things, swimming. I mentioned reading. I mentioned I like my gospel, so maybe I can find us go to church on Sunday without the kids. Might be an option, right? Maybe the pastors, maybe they got the children's church part where I can send the kids over there and I can skip some me time. So there are some options.
Right. Yeah.
But it's helping pick those options out that helps this client process a way to start to get that win again. Once they begin to get a little bit of a win and they're balancing themselves out, then the plan can start to come together. But it's in this dialogue. It's in this conversation. It's in this care plan that I'm working on.
At our agency, we do care plans with all of our youth. With our youth, we have to do it every 3 months. But I noticed a lot with our younger people, especially my young clients that are like 16, 17, as opposed to my 18, 19-year-old clients, they have a harder time coming with anything that they do at all that's not negative. So a lot of keep in mind, we work with pregnant and parenting teens. So sometimes their hobbies consisted of not going to school and hanging out with their friends that they themselves maybe even identified as being negative influences. So one of the things I know that we have is a list of some categories to kind of give them an idea. Some of them don't even have hobbies or interests. And in fact, I noticed those probably more likely my very depressed clients. They sit in the house all day. They don't go to school. They don't. Their parents take care of the baby more than they do. So, I think one of the good, just a suggestion, we have like a list of categories or some accompany with the list of it's like do you like to read? No, I don't like to read. Do you like to be outside? Like to be outdoors? Yeah, I noticed I went camping when I was in second grade and I really liked it. So sometimes it's a good idea to have a good list of categories and a list of ideas.
I think we had on the getting to know you worksheet we sort of started, but I think.
But it could be like that mood. It could be done like a mood. You ever go to the doctor and say on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you like? Or the faces, the faces forms where it might be something like that, like bicycling, reading, swimming, pictures maybe, or something that would be, that might be a nice aid to go along where you could, to get them to probe, to have a conversation about that was a good point. Some of the things that they might like to have an aid to get them to move into an idea of action. So that's a good point. I appreciate that one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This might also be a place for some brief education that the challenge of doing a wellness plan is part of depression. It's hard when you're depressed, as someone has shared, it's so difficult of thinking about what I might enjoy or to have hope that things could be different. That affects your behavior, and unfortunately, your behavior makes the depression worse. And so it becomes this very vicious cycle, and that's what makes depression such a conundrum.
I thought I saw another hand. Was there another hand?
I was going to make a comment about the reading.
Go ahead.
Oftentimes we're interacting with clients regardless of the age, and they really don't know how to read.
Right.
And you
Yeah.
really don't know.
Right.
You really don't. So and sometimes if you ask them, they'll say, I don't like, but in reality,
Oh, I didn't bring my glasses.
yes, they really can't. They really can't.
Exactly.
So,
And it helps
work
too.
with them around that to get them to say it's okay and work through that. So
Well,
they can learn.
right, and oftentimes too, when you're depressed, and I don't know, I can't speak for the young lady in the back, but when you read in concentration, your concentration level is very impaired. So even though I may be able to read, I can't digest what I'm just reading. So it does help when someone else is there, and I don't necessarily have to look at the form or process. It's just too much for me at that moment. And as I begin to the medication or exercise, whatever my plan is, the doctor gave a plan. Now it's my turn to develop a plan for myself to start. Not a plan that my case manager did or a plan that the therapist did or the plan that, this is a plan that I'm going to come up with small obtainable things, like maybe just cleaning one room. One room at a time might be helpful instead of jumping around the house. You know,